Millions affected across Germany as air and trade unions call for a 2-day strike.
The director of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Mariano Grossi, met with Russian President Putin for talks on nuclear safety in Ukraine. Anti-Nazi campaigners say there has been a surge in anti-Semitic vandalism at Holocaust memorial sites in Germany.
Is destination duping Europe's hottest travel trend?
At least 3 people have been killed in a Houthi missile strike on a cargo ship in the Red Sea.
More than 9 million Portuguese are expected to go to the polls next Sunday to vote in early legislative elections. Voting began with almost 1.6 million Portuguese voters living abroad and asked to exercise their right to vote by mail. In the final stretch of the election campaign, the 2 main candidates focused their speeches on women. In an interview with RTP, the leader of the Socialists, Pedro Nuno Santos, said he wanted to continue valuing and defending women, while also calling on the undecided to vote. At a rally in the north of the country, the leader of the Social Democrats and the Democratic Alliance said that gender equality is a fundamental pillar of equal opportunities and promised important and safe steps. Winning the election seems unrealistic for Chega, even if its leader, Andrew Ventura, claims he will trigger the biggest political earthquake in Europe by winning. But the far right has been gaining more votes each ballot. Most recent polls from Thursday showed the centre-right coalition with a 6-point lead over the Socialists.
At least 3 people have been killed in a Houthi missile strike on a cargo ship in the Red Sea. A missile hit the Barbados-flagged Liberian-owned bulk carrier True Confidence. After the attack, the remaining crew abandoned the ship and deployed lifeboats. A U.S. warship and the Indian Navy assisted in rescue efforts. The ship, with 20 crew members and 3 armed guards, had been carrying steel from China to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia and Jordan. A Houthi military spokesman claimed the attack. He said the rebels' attacks would only stop when the siege on the Palestinian people in Gaza is lifted. The director of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Mariano Grossi, met with Russian President Vladimir Putin for talks on nuclear safety in Ukraine. The meeting came amid concerns about an Ukrainian nuclear power plant that has been caught in the crossfire since Moscow sent troops into Ukraine in 2022 and seized the facility shortly after. The International Atomic Energy Agency has repeatedly expressed alarm about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest, amid fears of a potential nuclear catastrophe. Speaking to reporters in Sochi earlier on Wednesday, Grossi said he had a very intensive and exhaustive working session with Russian officials. Sudan's war has shattered millions of lives and created the world's largest displacement crisis, according to the World Food Programme. The catastrophe also risks becoming the world's largest hunger crisis unless fighting stops, the executive director of WFP, Cindy McCain, warned.
The war in Sudan is sending millions spiraling into what could soon be the world's largest hunger crisis. In South Sudan, I've met mothers and children who have fled violence many times. They've escaped the fighting, but they struggle to escape the hunger.
Over 25 million people across Sudan, South Sudan, and Chad are trapped in a spiral of deteriorating food security. Humanitarian assistance has been disrupted after authorities revoked permissions for cross-border truck convoys. Anti-Nazi campaigners say there has been a surge in anti-Semitic vandalism at Holocaust memorial sites in Germany. Swastikas and slogans have been daubed on signs at the former concentration camp in Buchenwald. There have been similar incidents at several other sites across the country, particularly in regions where the far-right AfD party is strong.
Wer eine rassistische Gesellschaft fordert, wer Ideologien der Ungleichwertigkeit vertritt, der muss die Lehren aus der Zeit des Nationalsozialismus verdammen. Der muss die Axt anlegen an der Erinnerungskultur. Und deswegen erfolgen diese Angriffe auf die Erinnerungskultur und die Gedenkstättenarbeit aus der AfD.
Buchenwald is in Thuringia, where the AfD has a growing popularity of 30%. The AfD denies it is anti-Semitic, but its leader in Thuringia, Björn Höcke, is facing prosecution for allegedly using a Nazi slogan in a speech.
With Athens' Acropolis introducing a daily visitor cap at 20,000, a new travel trend is emerging across Europe. Introducing the destination dupe, where other lesser-known destinations are suggested instead of overcrowded hotspots. Swap Tunis for Santorini, Pula for Rome, Ljubljana for Venice.
It's really important to alleviate the pressure on certain destinations, promoting the offering in other destinations which are not so well known internationally.
With tourism numbers returning to pre-pandemic levels, countries are welcoming new trends to help stem the flow of visitors who disrupt residents' lives by bringing issues such as high rents and pollution in tow with them.
We don't actually even have a mass tourism in Slovenia. Also, we don't have any bigger resorts or everything like that.
Overcrowded destinations such as Venice and Amsterdam are hiking tourist taxes in an effort to combat over-tourism. Iceland will also introduce a tax later this year to help the country with its goal to become climate neutral before 2040.
C'est vrai qu'à un certain moment, il y a eu peut-être la Tunisie a été perçue en tant que destination de tourisme de masse, de surtourisme. Mais là, ce modèle ou cette image, bien évidemment, elle a été améliorée grâce à un travail, un effort déployé par tous les acteurs de l'écosystème touristique en Tunisie.
France plans to launch a €1 million campaign encouraging domestic and foreign tourists to visit destinations off the beaten track instead of the 20% of the country where 80% of visits are concentrated.
Destination duping is not only beneficial for residents of overcrowded cities and undiscovered places, but it can also help the environment. With the price of flights soaring, travellers are welcoming this new travel trend that can help them get away for less. Liv Stroud in Berlin for Euronews.
Will the European Union ban the repair of cars more than 15 years old? Many social media users have been panicking that they will soon lose their ownership rights on their vehicle. But is it true? Let's take a closer look. These past few weeks, many users have shared videos and posts on social media saying they are worried the European Union will confiscate their old cars. According to these posts, the European Commission wants to ban the repair of vehicles older than 15 years and that have a high mileage. These fears are based on a proposal by the Commission drafted in July 2023. It aims to update a directive from the 2000s concerning the disposal of end-of-life vehicles, or ELVs. Why? Well, according to a report published in 2021 by the European Commission, 3.8 million end-of-life vehicles disappeared from the legal car market in Europe in 2017. According to the Commission, each year, more than 6 million vehicles are considered to be waste. What this proposal is trying to do is to make a clear distinction between second-hand vehicles and end-of-life vehicles.
Why it's so important to have a clear definition of what is a second-hand car and what is in fact a waste car or a car that has reached the end of life is that there is a very specific type of fraud going on in the EU. In fact, we know that about a third of old cars that are end-of-life cars are completely disappearing from the member states' statistics because they are being fraudulently sold as second-hand cars. But then these second-hand cars never actually circulate on our roads anymore, but are disposed of in ways that are not environmentally acceptable and that waste a lot of the precious raw materials that cars are made of.
This proposed legislation would therefore concern more the illegal resellers of end-of-life vehicles rather than someone who has an old car and is looking to repair it. The European Commission specifies the criteria for a car to be considered an end-of-life vehicle. For example, cars cut into pieces, completely burnt, or that are considered irreparable. So this proposal does not imply a ban on repairs, nor an obligation to dispose of your old car. Don't forget, this proposal still hasn't come into force. It must first be validated by the European Council as well as the European Parliament. That means it could still be modified by MEPs, a process that can take a couple of months or even several years before it's even adopted.
Politicians in Haiti started pursuing new alliances, seeking a coalition that could lead the country out of the erupting gang violence. Haiti remains largely paralyzed, with schools and businesses closed amid heavy gunfire blamed on the gangs that control an estimated 80% of the capital.
I urge the international community to act swiftly and decisively to prevent Haiti's further descent into chaos. Last weekend's mass prison breakout has been described by Haitian officials as a lethal threat to national security.
One new political alliance involves former rebel leader Guy Philippe and ex-presidential candidate Moise Jean-Charles.
Euronews. The news.